Mike and Bob are professional tennis players. It's their last match. Whoever wins it takes home the trophy cup. One of them is bound to lose, though. Can you guess which one? Bob, with the blue shirt, looks tired, but looks like he can play a good match. Mike, with the red shirt, is carrying an electrified racket. It doesn't look like he can win anything with that. A patient with the flu went to a local hospital to see a doctor. There were 3 doctors available to check him out, but one of the doctors didn't look too legit. Can you guess which one? The guy on the left has some blood on his jacket, but you can see he has a nosebleed. The guy on the right is trying to hide something. If you look closely, he's hiding a box full of his real clothes. He's a fraud. Bobby was setting off to college, so she decided to drive herself from New York to Boston. When she arrived at the campus, she noticed that one of her tires was punctured. Somehow, she managed to make it all the way without having to stop to change it. How? That's because the tire that was punctured was her spare tire. Ryan was skateboarding in the park when he fell down and hurt his head. By the time he woke up, there were 3 different women saying they were her sister and saying they would take him home. Can you tell who Ryan's real sister is here? For starters, Ryan is brunette and there's only one brunette woman. The other ones are blonde. Plus, they're both wearing a bracelet that says Smiths, which must be their last name. Sarah and David are late for work. They left their house in a hurry to get to the bus station on time. One of them is definitely not going to be able to catch that bus. Can you tell which one of them it is just by looking at the picture? David is trying to catch a bus that's already left the station, which means he may or may not succeed in doing. But Sarah is running in the opposite direction of the bus. I mean, she's not catching that ride. Mrs. Franny is a beloved history teacher who loves to teach through riddles. She asked her students the following question. A person is 25 years old in the year 2000 and 20 years old in 2005. How is this possible? Can you answer this question? It's possible because the person lived before the common era we're living in now, and years were counted in a different way. Sarah is an influencer, and she interviews millionaires, asking them how and when they earned their first million. She boarded a train in Paris, looking for the next person to interview. Inside the train cabin, there were 3 people that looked really rich, except that one of them was faking it. Can you tell who? The first woman is carrying a designer bag that looks legit. The elderly man is wearing a really expensive suit. But if you look closely, the blonde man's sweater has a tag written polyester in it. That's such a cheap material. He's definitely not rich. Mark and Lisa said they could bring cakes to their office parties, but both of them are having a tough time baking the cake. Can you figure out who is having a worse time baking it, though? Mark is trying to mix ingredients, but doesn't have a blender to mix. And Lisa's doing the same, but the oven won't turn on, so Lisa is having the worst time. Mark can mix it with a spoon, but Lisa can't cook without an oven. Becca and Emily were freshmen in university. They needed to pass a challenge to get into a very selective sorority. The test was to pick 25 red apples, 47 green apples, and 3 yellow apples in a huge garden. Who do you think is doing a worse job here? It's Becca, the girl on the left. She thinks she is picking apples, but she is picking pears. She should have noticed they were a different shape. Martha is getting married, and she invited her bridesmaids for a dress fitting. The girls went to the shop to get their dresses measured. They were beyond happy to see their friend living her dream. Martha was happy that Bridget, her pregnant friend, could join as well. Can you figure out which of the girls is Bridget? Oh, it's the lady eating the pie, of course. She's definitely having one of those irresistible craving moments. Bob is the CEO of his own company. He is known to be the best boss around, which is why his employees decided to throw him a surprise party for his birthday. One of the employees is Jenna, Bob's sister. She's the one leading the whole thing. Take a look at the picture. Can you figure out which one of them is Jenna? Although Bob's looking at the woman on the right, his sister is on the left. They both have the same birthmark on their necks. Good eye if you caught that. Sandy and Priscilla are longtime friends, and they meet every Wednesday for tea. This week, one of the ladies took Jake, her younger son, along. Can you figure out who Jake's biological mother is just by looking at the picture? It's Sandy, the woman on the left. She's got the same hair color as Jake. Plus, she's got a necklace with the letter J on it. It was Paula's wedding and everyone was beyond excited. One of the bridesmaids had just caught the bouquet and was happily talking to the other ladies about it. Can you figure out who caught the bouquet? It's the lady on the left. If you notice, she's surrounded by bees, who were definitely attracted by the flower's pollen. Bibi, Jenna, Miriam, and Jackie were called to the principal's office. It started to rain just before they got to school, and one of the ladies got in at the last minute. Their shoes got wet and they stained the principal's carpet. Judging by the looks of it, who stained the principal's carpet? It was Miriam, the third lady in the middle. She's the one wearing high-heeled boots, and if you look closely, that's the shape that matches the footprints. You get all those right? Good for you! Olivia was washing 8 pairs of baby socks. When she hung them up to dry, she realized one sock was missing. How many socks are left? Can you help her count? Now, there are only 15 socks. 8 pairs minus 1 sock equals 15. Perfect. But now, we gotta help Olivia find the missing sock. Can you see it? Yep, it's on the baby's little foot. Olivia must have gotten distracted and put it on Jordan without realizing it. Once, Olivia took Jordan for a walk in the park. There, she saw 2 women with strollers. One of them is a young mom, and the other is a nanny. Can you help Olivia figure out who the real mom is? The woman on the right is a nanny. She's holding a planner with the child's schedule, feeding times, naps, walks, activities, stuff like that. The real mom doesn't need any notes because she remembers everything. Or she thinks she does. When Olivia's kid grew a little bit, they got invited to their neighbor's child's birthday party. But when they came there, Olivia saw something very strange. Can you figure out what appeared strange to her? If you've noticed it, you're very observant. The woman seems to be filling the kids' cups with milk. But how is she doing it if the jug is actually empty? Ooh, what if she's an alien? Oops, wrong video. Never mind. One day, Olivia's 10-year-old niece visited them. To treat the kids, the woman cooked delicious pastries and left them on the kitchen table. Suddenly, her phone started ringing and she left the children alone for a minute to answer it. When she came back, one of the pastries was missing. Olivia's niece said it was Jordan who took the pastry, but Olivia didn't believe her. Why? Jordan is too short not only to grab the pastry but to even reach the table. The girl must have eaten the pastry and is now trying to frame the kid. Olivia and Jordan were invited to another birthday party. Look at the food the hosts are treating them with and help the woman figure out which dish is safe for her kid. Well, I wouldn't risk eating this cake. It smells really bad. Flies are resting on these cookies. Luckily, these apples look safe to eat. It's Jordan's first day at a nursery school. Both Olivia and the kid are excited, and they don't want to be late. But here's a problem. There are 3 paths leading to the school building. Please help Olivia choose the best way. The road on the left is blocked by a fallen tree further ahead. The path in the middle has an open maintenance hole, which can lead to an accident. At the same time, the road on the right looks pretty safe. They should pick this route. Olivia and Jordan were on the playground. Jordan was playing in the sand, and Olivia was watching him. Suddenly, the woman realized that one of the kids' toys was missing. It was an orange teddy bear. She looked around and saw only 3 other people around. Can you figure out who took the bear? It was that elderly man. Look, the teddy bear's paw is sticking out of his pocket. Who knows why he took it? Some years later, Olivia left Jordan alone at home for the first time and told him to be a good boy. But when she came back an hour later, she understood that the boy had done something he shouldn't have done. Look at the room attentively and try to figure out what 3 things upset Olivia. First of all, look at those brown crumbs on the floor near the bed. Jordan ate some chocolate cookies. The TV remote is not in the same place as before. The boy must have taken it to switch on the TV and watch cartoons. And finally, he was in a creative mood. Look at that drawing on the wall near the door. Jordan's birthday is around the corner, and the boy asks Olivia to invite his best friend to the party. Olivia is confused. Jordan is a very outgoing kid and has loads of friends. He's especially close to these 3 children. Look at Jordan's room and try to help Olivia figure out which kid is Jordan's best friend. It's this blonde boy. A kid's painting depicting him is hanging on the wall over Jordan's bed. Olivia invited not only Jordan's best friend, but also many other kids to her son's birthday party. When all of them showed up, she realized that one guest came uninvited. Can you spot the intruder? Look at this girl wearing a witch outfit. She was definitely going to a Halloween party. How did she end up at Jordan's birthday party? She was an alien. When it was time to bring in Jordan's birthday cake, Olivia was horrified. The cake was missing. The kids were all together and didn't leave the playroom, so it must be one of the parents who took the cake. Olivia switched on detective mode and soon understood who the thief was. Can you figure it out too? It's this granny. Look at her blouse, that dark stain. Isn't it chocolate? She's the one who took the cake. Hey, we should introduce her to the grandpa who took the orange teddy bear. What do you think? At first, Olivia panicked, but luckily, she found the solution fast enough. She called the nearest bakery and ordered another cake. They said they would send one immediately and asked her to pick a delivery person. Look at these 3 delivery people and select the most trustworthy. This guy on the left has a cast on his arm. Not very convenient for riding a bike, is it? The girl on the left seems fine, but look at her bike. The front tire is flat. So the man in the middle seems to be the safest bet. The party is over and Jordan is happy. He wants to count all the presents he's got. But they're all over the place. Look at the room very carefully and try to spot all the gifts. One, 2, 3. Well, these are easy to find. 4. It's under the bed. 5 and 6. One is on the armchair and the other is under the pillow on the bed. And finally, 7. It's hiding on top of the wardrobe. Jordan is now old enough to start studying French, and Olivia is looking for a tutor for her boy. Look at these 3 professionals and help the woman pick the best one. Look at this lady on the right. Her t-shirt has the Eiffel Tower and the word France on it, but the name of the country is written incorrectly. It should be spelled like this. What teacher doesn't know this? The man in the middle has a police badge on his shirt pocket. He must be a police officer. What is he even doing here? So the best and only option is this young girl on the left. Merci beaucoup.
James breathed out and escaped from his weirdo of an acquaintance. He decided that after a nice swim, it was high time to go to a museum. He was looking at some pretty cool statues at the museum when suddenly he realized that one of them wasn't actually a statue. Which one was it? And how did he understand it? Look at the statue on the left. It has no wrist, so it must be the real thing. The head of the right statue has been replaced. See that seam on its neck? So it must be a statue too. But the one in the middle is a living and breathing human. Look at his pink cheeks and the drops of sweat on his forehead. Must be difficult to hold that arm raised all the time. At one point, James paid attention to 3 other visitors of the exhibition. All of them were very beautiful women, and James immediately fell in love. Yep, he's a very amorous guy. Sadly, one of James's new love interests is a vampire's wife. Let's save the poor guy and tell him which lady he should stay away from. The lady on the left might just have a very pale complexion. The one on the right is probably drinking some red-colored juice or cocktail. But the woman in the middle has been bitten recently. Look at her neck. So she must be the wife. Run, James, run! After having barely avoided grave danger, James decided to relieve stress and went to the gym. Beside him, there were only 2 other visitors, 2 young ladies. The one on the left is working out, and the one on the right is taking selfies on the latest iPhone. Look at them attentively and try to figure out which of them is indeed rich and which is just a make-believe. To understand it, you need to pay close attention to details. The woman on the left is wearing a cool fitness watch, which must be pretty expensive. Her training shoes are high quality but a bit worn out. It means she's a regular at that gym. Also, she has wireless ear pods, and a personal trainer is right next to her. As for the woman on the right, she looks flashy with her iPhone and jewelry. But if you look closely, you'll understand that this jewelry is cheap. And instead of sneakers, she's wearing flats. It seems she's never been to a fancy gym before, and she used a free trial entrance to take as many pics as possible. So the lady on the left is actually rich. Now, back to that orange James got from his extraterrestrial friend. He bought 4 more and gave all the 5 oranges to 5 boys he knew. They started eating the fruit. A finished eating before B, but after C. D finished before E, but after B. In what order did the boys finish eating apples? C, A, B, D, E. On his way home, James noticed that his neighbor's house was on fire. He also saw a firefighter nearby, but the man was just standing there doing nothing. Why wasn't this professional helping James's neighbor? Can you figure it out? Let's see how attentive you are. Have you noticed those pumpkins and Halloween decorations? The guy isn't a real firefighter and he's just wearing a Halloween costume. So James had to take matters into his own hands and help his neighbor put the fire out.
Oh my God!
The next day, James was invited to his cousin's wedding. But half an hour before the ceremony, the guy pulled his cousin aside and told her that her husband-to-be was cheating on her. How did he know? James spotted a lipstick stain on the fiancé's shirt, and the color was different from the one his cousin was wearing.
Oh no!
The wedding was canceled, and the fiancé got really angry. He locked James in a small room. To get out of there, the guy needed to figure out the password. It's the answer to this riddle. It can be hot, it can be cold. It can rush, and it can stay still. It can be hard, and it can slip through anything. What is it?
Oh my God!
It's water. After figuring it out, James was out of the room in no time. For a week, James's life was pretty uneventful until he got a call from a friend who lived in a different town. He claimed that a vampire family had moved into the houses next to his, and he was very worried. James couldn't leave him in the lurch, so he went there and found the right street. He saw 3 houses. James came up to the house which he thought was weird. Which one did he choose? A, B, or C? What do you think? Look at the footprints. Aren't they kind of strange? They lead to and from houses A and C. But what about house B? The footprints only lead in one direction. Do werewolves bother you every full moon? Do ghosts haunt your attic? Do you suspect that your neighbor is a vampire? Well, Amelia is the person you need. She's a professional dealing with supernatural creatures, and here's what her regular day looks like. Right after waking up, Amelia had a simple mental warm-up before a hard-working day. She counted how many vampires there were in a hospital room, and it took her less than half a minute. How much time will you need? Well, the blonde woman has a bloody stain on her cheek. Suspicious. The twins seem to be vampires as well. The first one can't stand the light. The second one's feet are covered with mud. He must have been hunting barefoot last night. The black-haired lady holding her neck is turning into a vampire, and there's also one more vampire hiding beneath the bed. So, there are 5 vampires in total. Next, she decided to figure out which influencer was a vampire. Can you help her spot the supernatural creature? The first lady has a big collection of sunglasses. Is she trying to hide something? But why would she have a mirror then? Vampires have no reflection. The second lady, on the contrary, has no mirrors. She doesn't need them because she's a vampire. So she has a rail to hang on when she turns into a bat. On the first real case today, Amelia has been invited to investigate a biting case at a wedding. Shockingly, it's the groom himself who's been bitten. The bride and her maids look pretty suspicious. The redhead has fangs. The bride has a stain on her dress. And the black-haired lady has blood on her lips. Who's guilty? Look at the groom's body language. He's trying to ask for help, looking at the redhead, so she's not the one who bit him. The bride was the one who was close enough to the groom to bite him and to get that bloody stain. As for the black-haired lady, she just seems to have some makeup malfunctions. Amelia went to buy coffee and found this boy. He got lost. Soon, two women, if we can call them this way, appeared in front of her. Both the vampire and the alien claimed that the boy was her son. Help Amelia find out who the mother of the child is, the vampire or the alien. Look at the toy the boy is playing with. It's a little alien, so it seems that the boy and the redhead alien are relatives. Amelia hardly had enough time to drink her coffee when a client wrote to her. He suspected that one of his two new maids was a werewolf. Amelia looked at the girls' rooms attentively and realized which one was a werewolf. Have you guessed? The room on the left is messy and untidy, while the right one is almost immaculate. But there's one weird thing. Look at the headboard. There are belts to keep werewolves in place when it's full moon. The girl occupying this room is a werewolf. Amelia went to investigate another case. Someone in this family secretly became a vampire and they bit the father a second ago. Can you help her understand who it was? There's something red on the boy's plate, but it's likely ketchup. He's eating a burger. The boy is drinking something red, but it can be simple juice. Look at the mother. She doesn't seem to be wearing any lipstick, and still, she's got something red next to her lips. She must be a vampire. Plus, she's the only person tall enough to reach the man's neck. A businessman called Amelia and invited her to his office. He was sure that one of his employees was a vampire. Look at these office workers attentively and find the one who's not human. The lady is drinking good old water, and you can see some drops on her chin. The man in a blue shirt is drinking soda. We can see some bubbles in his glass. The blonde man seems to be drinking some tea or coffee, but we can't be sure since his cup isn't transparent. One more hint that he's a vampire is extensive makeup on his face and foundation stains on his white shirt and the plate. It means he covered his pale skin on his face and palms with makeup. He must be the vampire. In the afternoon, Amelia traveled to the seaside to crack some cases connected with mermaids. For example, she had to figure out which mermaid was this man's wife. Have you understood it too? Do you see that tattoo on the man's neck? It's the letter L. The mermaid on the right has a tattoo as well. It's the letter J. They almost likely had the first letters of each other's names tattooed on their skin, so they must be husband and wife. While she was on the beach, Amelia was watching people, and suddenly she realized that one of them wasn't human. Look at these young people playing beach volleyball. Can you figure out who's not human? It's this girl. If you compare her with her friends, she's the only one who's not sweating and isn't red-faced because of the heat and exertion. Amelia decided to take a bus to get to the city. At one point, she realized that some of the passengers on that bus were zombies. Can you spot them too? There are two zombies on the bus. This man with a bandage on his neck and one ear missing. And this business lady sitting near the window. She's making bizarre growling noises. After arriving at the city, Amelia found out that a robot had committed a crime. Unfortunately, the police were unable to catch the culprit immediately. But they suspended 3 people, and each of them could be the criminal. They invited Amelia to figure out the true identities of those people. She had a knife, a screwdriver, a bottle of water, and a pen. Which object should she use to reach her goal? Amelia should make the suspects drink from the bottle. The robot will either refuse or short circuit. A scared store owner called Amelia, claiming there was a vampire in his store. When she arrived there, she couldn't find the store owner, but there were 3 other people inside. Look at them attentively and help Amelia figure out which of them is a vampire. Well, the first one's eyes are pretty red, but maybe he hasn't had enough sleep or is coming down with the flu. The second visitor seems to be freezing. Almost all parts of her body are covered with some clothing. Could be the air conditioning. But look at the third person. He's drinking something red from a glass using a straw. He must be the vampire you're looking for. Now, where is that store owner? Amelia decided to drop by her office, and coincidentally, a very pale woman covering a bite on her neck with her hand entered. She said that when she'd been going home the evening before, someone had attacked her and turned her into a vampire. She wanted to find the culprit. After investigating the case, Amelia had 3 suspects. Look at them attentively and find the one who turned the woman into a vampire. This elderly man has no teeth, so he can't be a vampire. This woman has tan marks, but vampires can't sunbathe. So the man wearing gloves must have turned Amelia's client into a vampire. Since it was almost the end of the week, Amelia decided to take a mini vacation and go to visit her friends in Miami. During dinner, they told her about a mysterious mansion with a very bad reputation. Those who once entered it never came back. Amelia went to explore the building. Soon, she realized she was lost. Suddenly, she found herself in a large room with 4 doors. Behind the first door, there was a mummy. Behind the second door, a vampire was hiding. The third door led into the den of a hungry wolf. And behind the fourth door, there was a ghost. Which door should Amelia opt for to get out of the mansion unharmed? The mummy can potentially be very dangerous. The vampire behind the second door is also far from friendly. The wolf, especially hungry, can easily attack a person. In comparison, the ghost is relatively harmless. Amelia should choose the fourth door. And which supernatural creature scares you most? Comment below. Sarah and John invited 3 women to a dinner party at their home. Emily brought a red lipstick with her. Claire was wearing a bracelet that John had once mentioned he liked, and Julia had a handkerchief peeking out of her bag. Now, Sarah suspects that one of them is John's lover, but who? Let's see. Emily had a red lipstick, but it wasn't on her lips, so the kiss mark on John's neck isn't from her. John did compliment Claire's bracelet once, but she wears it every day. Now, check out that handkerchief sticking out of Julia's bag. It has a J on it. John has a matching handkerchief with the same letter, which he always uses for special occasions like tonight. That means Julia is the secret lover. Lily was at a job interview for a journalist position. After some tough questions, the interviewer said she would get back to her later with the results. But Lily noticed that the interviewer had written start in her notes. So, did she get the job or not? The letter E is written in red, and the word start is repeated twice. Put together, it reads, ready to start. Congrats on the new job, Lily. You made it. Susan broke up with Liam, and before moving out, she couldn't find her diary. So she told Liam, If you find it, promise me you'll throw it away without reading it. A year later, Liam found the diary. Despite the promise, he decided to open it anyway and saw the message. He then facepalmed. Can you guess why? Well, Liam finally understood why Susan left him. Check out the message backward. It reads, "I cannot trust you." Ouch! Andrew got a job taking care of 3 quirky dogs for a wealthy and eccentric old man. The instructions were simple. Buddy loved beef, Luna preferred chicken, and Rocky enjoyed fish. But when it was time to feed the animals, Andrew only saw the numbers 1, 2, and 3 at the bottom of the bowls, and couldn't remember which bowl corresponded to which dog. Can you help him out? Look at the wall. The dogs are real champs, and the bowls match their medals. Buddy, who won first place, gets bowl number 1. Rocky, who came in second, gets bowl number 2. And Luna, who finished third, gets bowl number 3. Arthur was having dinner at Jack's, his childhood friend. After a while, Jack pulled out an old photo album. Arthur was having a great time flipping through it until he suddenly froze in shock. There was a photo from a senior school trip in 1994, and he was in it. But he didn't remember going. What was going on? Sadly, Arthur couldn't make it to that trip. His friends didn't want him to feel left out, so they attached a photo of Arthur's face to a stick and brought it with them. Christina was working when her mom called her, urgently telling her to hurry and open their safe at home. She revealed that the first numbers were 0, 6, and 16, but just as she was about to say the last number, the call dropped. Christina knew the code was 3 two-digit numbers in a sequence. Can you help her figure out the entire code? If you turn the code numbers upside down, you get 90 and 91. That means the next number in the sequence is 92. Phew! So, Jay Rush, a famous rapper, is hanging out in his super soundproof home studio, where absolutely no outside noise gets through. But suddenly, he hears a soft woman's voice singing. How is that possible? Take a look over there, in the corner. There's a baby monitor. The voice he heard was his wife singing a lullaby to their daughter upstairs. Leo is studying in Spain and has planned a romantic weekend in Paris with his girlfriend. Their flight is set for 7 in the morning. They both arrive at the airport at the same time, look at each other, and say, "I'm so sorry." So what are they apologizing for? Check the clock on the wall. It's 7 in the evening. That means they both overslept and missed their morning flight. Luckily, the airline put them on the next one. Alan is taking his driving test, and he's sitting there all nervous next to the instructor. Suddenly, a car zooms through a red light right in front of them. The instructor says, "Never do what that crazy driver just did." But there's something that shocks Alan even more. Can you guess what it is? The terrible driver is actually Alan's twin brother. Different haircuts, but the same face. What are the odds? Susan is writing a birthday card for her best friend and wants to cut it into a heart shape. But, oh no, she can't find her scissors. So, Susan goes to a store where she sees 4 options. Scissors for $2, $5, $15, and $30. Which pair does she buy? She picks the $15 pair. Let's remember that Susan wrote the card with her left hand, and the $15 scissors are the only ones designed for left-handed people. Thomas was in the library when he found a dusty old book titled Ancient Riddles. As he flipped through the pages, a card fell out with the word molar written on it. He quickly figured out that this card didn't belong in the book. How did he know? Well, molar is a type of tooth, and the word is written in blue. So the answer here is Bluetooth. Definitely a bit too modern for an ancient riddle, don't you think? At a birthday celebration at a luxury spa, Lily was proudly wearing her favorite designer bracelet. After a relaxing session in the sauna, everyone went back to the lounge, only to find that Lily's bracelet was missing. Can you guess what happened to it? The masseuse took it. Check out the lotion bottle. The bracelet is wrapped around the lid. Dennis plays soccer with his friends every week after work. One evening, he noticed that his sports socks were sewn together. In a hurry, he just wore his work socks to the game and forgot about it. The next morning, his wife looked pale and said, "We need to talk." Why was she so upset? Turns out, Dennis's wife sewed his sports socks together to see if he was cheating. She thought that if the socks were still sewn together the next day, it meant he'd skip soccer for a secret date. Clara woke up suddenly at 4 in the morning to the sound of her phone hitting the floor. She thought it must have been the cat, but then she noticed that Mr. Whiskers was across the room staring at her. So how did the phone end up on the floor? Turns out it was a little earthquake. Clara figured it out when she picked up her phone and saw an earthquake alert on the screen. Tom is a new lifeguard at Splash Water Park Resort. He's watching over the wave pool when he suddenly spots an emergency. Can you figure out what's caught his attention? This kid doesn't have a floaty, but that's not an issue since she's in the shallow end. Look further back. See that hand sticking out between the floaties? Someone has slipped out of their floaty and is signaling for help. Dave, Emily, and Tom decided to play hide and seek at Emily's house. Emily quickly found Tom hiding behind the sofa, but no matter how hard they looked, Dave was nowhere to be found. Can you help Emily and Tom track down their missing friend? Dave hid in the bathtub and closed the shower curtain. Since the curtain matched the bathroom walls, it was super easy to miss. Kyle is on a nearly empty flight to New York, but the kid sitting next to him just won't stop crying. Frustrated, he asks the flight attendant if he can switch seats. She checks his passport, rolls her eyes, and says, "That's impossible." Why is she so annoyed? Turns out, the crying kid is actually Kyle's own daughter.
A plane bound for Central America crashed in the heart of the jungle. Of all the passengers on board the aircraft, Only 8 individuals managed to survive. The group wasted no time in locating food. However, they struggled to find a clean water source. The sole source they came across appeared incredibly suspicious. Consuming that water posed a significant risk, yet nobody was willing to perish due to dehydration. Consequently, the group faced a tough decision. Their only escape route hinged on selecting a member to test the water from the spring. Yet, if it were contaminated, the chosen person would meet an immediate demise. The group had a huge dilemma on their hands. Who were they supposed to sacrifice? They gathered around a fire, and each one of them had the opportunity to share a little bit about themselves. The first person was Peter, a 37-year-old magician. Peter was a lively man who traveled the world as a successful magician. He said he could use his skills to keep the group's spirits high. The second person was Max, a 28-year-old programmer. Before the crash, he was busy developing software that could change the world. The survivors don't think highly of him, though. He's a bit of a diva. But he argued that his skills and knowledge would be needed by society, since the secret project he was working on could save the lives of millions of people. Then there was Jude, an experienced and honored doctor. Jude had volunteered for many charity organizations and saved countless lives. He said that if the group wanted to have a chance of survival, they needed to spare his life. Next, Marina, a 52-year-old cook, told her story. She said she had recently divorced her husband and was starting to make a life for herself. Up until then, she was a stay-at-home mom with no purpose in life. But after her divorce, she decided to follow her dreams and enrolled at a fancy culinary school. She said she could make delicious food for everyone, even with so few resources available. Even though Mary was wearing expensive clothes, she said she was all for a greener planet. She was a 22-year-old girl straight out of college. She was on her way to Costa Rica for a spiritual retreat when the plane crashed. She said she was an expert at nonviolent communication and could help the group keep harmony through these stressful times. Sean was anxious when he started speaking. He was a former convict and was afraid that the group would immediately turn on him when he told his story. Yet he was very honest when he said that he had learned his lesson in prison and was committed to making the world a better place from then on. Then Daniel, a famous 30-year-old athlete, started speaking. Despite his youthful age, Daniel had already won multiple medals. He was extremely fit and could help the group get through those extremely harsh conditions by building shelters or even protecting them from wild animals. The last member of the group was Tom, a 15-year-old boy. Unfortunately, he lost his parents during the crash and was left alone. He had no special abilities to help the group. Jude, as the oldest person in the group, took the lead in the decision-making process. He asked everyone to answer the question, "Why should you not be sacrificed?" The first person to speak out was Peter, the magician. He said, "I make people laugh and awe at the magic of life. Through me, magic keeps on living. I can't be sacrificed." Then programmer Max said, "I'm going to change the world with my secret project. You really have no idea about the revolutionary idea I'm working on. If you sacrifice me, you'll deeply regret it." Dr. Jude said, "I'm pretty old and I've lived a good life, but I'm one of the few people here who knows how to save lives. What would you do if you sacrificed me?" Marina the cook said, "Guys, I just recently found my purpose in life again after the divorce. I have so much to do in this world. There are so many opportunities ahead of me." Mary, the woo-woo girl, said, "There are opportunities ahead of me too. I just finished college. Who knows? I could become a great spiritual leader and change the world. You'll regret it if you get rid of me." Ex-convict Sean said, "I understand if you choose me to drink the water. I just want to say that I'm a changed man and that I will do everything in my power to make it up to society if I get out of here alive. I can be an inspiration to many people." Athlete Daniel said, "I think there's still a good number of medals to win, but hey, I'm willing to take one for the group if I need to. I'm pretty strong and who knows, maybe the water won't harm me." Lastly, Tom the teenager spoke. He said, "I'm pretty scared of drinking the water. Please don't make me do it. I swear I'll grow up to be a good person." After listening to everyone, the group needed to vote. But before voting against anyone, they were supposed to think about each person's usefulness for the group and society in general. As a magician, Peter can contribute to the preservation and development of cultural traditions and the entertainment industry. Although his skills are not critical for physical survival, they might be important for the psychological health of the group. Max has good analytical and problem-solving skills, but in a survival environment, his technical skills were not so in demand. Plus, his secret project could easily be some AI technology that could rule over humanity. Jude is one of the most valuable members of the group because of his ability to provide medical support. Marina, the cook, can be important for maintaining health and morale through nutrition, but not critically important for survival. Mary's role is less important. She's more of an idealist than a problem solver, so her direct impact on group survival is extremely limited. Sean, the ex-convict, has acquired skills in difficult conditions and situations which can be extremely useful in survival. Also, his potential rehabilitation story may inspire social change and reform. Daniel, the athlete, is important. His physical abilities are important to the group, and he can serve as an inspiration to others. Tom, the kid, is not able to participate equally in survival tasks, and who knows, he may grow up to be a great or terrible person. It's 50-50, and there are no guarantees he will either be useful or harmful to society in the future. When Dr. Jude received all the votes, he was appalled by the decision of the group. He expected that most people would vote to sacrifice Max, the programmer, but no. They chose to sacrifice Tom, the young kid, and took him to the water spring. He drank the water to see if it was safe, and just a few hours later, Tom passed away. The group was very shaken by the kid's early demise, and they were also desperate, because without water, they would all have the same fate before rescuers had time to find them in the middle of the jungle. That's when programmer Max had an idea. "I think I can design a primitive filter to purify the water," he said. Max quickly described his plan to create a device that could use coal, sand, and rocks to filter pollutants from the water. The group listened to him carefully, and the decision to try to create a filter seemed to them to be the best way out of the situation. With the help of other members of the group, Max was able to assemble the device. After the first tests, the filter worked successfully, and the water turned out to be safe to drink. What a plot twist, huh? Now, I've got a question for you. Which person would you sacrifice? But I would like to remind you that there is no correct answer. Harry wakes up inside a simulated reality. An AI voice tells him that he needs to complete a series of tasks in order to get back to his normal life. 3 doors are projected in front of him. The first has a huge hammer that smashes anything that passes by it. The second door leads to a corridor filled with electric pipes. And behind the third door, there's broken glass all over the place. He has 2 seconds to choose one of the doors. Which one should he pick? He should choose the third door. Since he's wearing shoes, he'll be all right. He goes through that door and ends up in a cage. Inside, there are 3 rescue buttons. The red button will open the cage immediately, but it also simultaneously opens a cage with a hungry lion. The blue one will open the cage in 10 minutes, but it will also open hundreds of water pipes. The orange button will open the cage in 5 minutes, but it will also set the place on fire. Which of the buttons should he press? He should press the blue one. I mean, since it's a cage, it won't fill up with water. As soon as his cage opens, he is free to swim away. Then he finds himself at a crossroads. There are 3 different paths, and he needs to figure out which one to take. The first path is filled with smoking coal. The second path has frozen ice all over it. And the third path has pretty sharp nails. Which one should he choose? He should definitely choose the middle path. Even if the ice doesn't melt during daytime, it's pretty easy to go through it. It looks like Harry is doing pretty well, so the AI controlling the game decides to make the task a bit more difficult. It projects a scene where Harry is now in a hotel lobby. He has to figure out which of the lobby guys won't help him with his luggage. It's definitely the guy in the middle. If you look closely, the guy is transparent, which means he's probably a ghost. He can't touch physical stuff, so he won't be able to help Harry. Suddenly, the weekend in this virtual reality, and Harry is taken to a cabin in the mountains. There are 4 friends waiting for his arrival. They have a fun time, but at the end of the weekend, the cabin catches fire. One of his friends did it. Take a look at the image. Can you figure out who did it? It's the third guy to the right. He has a tiny gasoline bottle hanging from his belt. Harry suddenly appears in what looks like a wedding ceremony and discovers he's the one getting married. 2 women appear in front of him. They are dressed the same, but they both have their faces covered with veils. He needs to figure out who his true bride is. Can you help him out here? They look identical, but one of them already has a wedding ring. This can only mean that his true bride is the other lucky gal. For his next challenge, he's taken to a restaurant where a waitress shows him 4 glasses. Each glass is filled with the same liquid, water, and has an object inside of it. The waitress asks Harry which glass has more water than the rest. Take a look at the image. Can you figure out the correct answer? This shouldn't be too hard. The last glass is the one that has more water inside. The paperclip weighs almost nothing, while the other objects are way heavier. This means there is less water in all the other glasses. Harry's doing great thanks to you. Now look at this image. There are 3 people about to parachute out of an airplane. Help Harry figure out who is in graver danger here. It's the first 2 people. You see, there's a heavy bottle in the last guy's backpack. If it falls down, it can break the other's parachutes. Uh-oh. Harry's stomach starts to growl after so much hard work, so he asks for some food. The AI controlling the game decides to create 2 chefs to bake him 2 different cakes. But here's the catch. Only one is safe to eat. Take a look at both of these delicious-looking cakes. Which one is safe? If you have a sharp eye, you'll know that the chef on the left is a fake, so you shouldn't eat his cake. The left chef has stains all over his shirt that look like blood. Plus, he doesn't have a badge on his shirt. He has a scratch over his eye, and he's hiding a syringe in his hand behind his back. There are just too many red flags here. Harry should go for the cake on the right. Well, it's time to take a nap, and Harry is taken to an old house. There are 3 rooms for him to choose from. Take a look at the picture. Which one should he choose? Well, so you see the hidden scenarios behind the curtains in the first room? That's a big no-no. As for the third room, notice how the AC is set to cold even though it's snowing outside. No to that, so he should definitely pick the second room. To sweeten things up a bit, Harry was enrolled into a baking competition. He was introduced to 3 judges, and they each told Harry what their favorite cake was. The first judge expressed his love for chocolate pies. Judge number 2 said he loved berry pies more than anything in the world. And Judge 3 said he was fond of pecan pies, also pronounced pecan. Harry immediately knew one of them was lying. Can you tell who? It was judge number 2. Do you see the chocolate stains and pie crumbles on the second judge's shirt? That could only mean he was enjoying a slice of chocolate pie before arriving at the competition venue. Harry needs to enter a new realm of the game, and for that, he needs to go through what looks like an airport. He didn't have any luggage with him, but he still needed to go through a security check. He went through the scanner, but he beeped every time he passed through it. Take a look at the image. Can you figure out what was making him beep so much? It was the necklace chain dangling from the pocket of his jacket. Good eye if you spotted that. Passing through the different realms, Harry spotted a nice bakery, then decided to stop for some more nourishment. There were 3 options to choose from: a cupcake, a chocolate croissant, and a gingerbread cookie. Can you guess which one he picked? You don't need to be a genius to see that Harry is using gingerbread cookie socks. He loves them so much, which is why that's his usual pick. Harry arrived at the gate of the new realm, and there were 2 creatures guarding it, a lion and a unicorn. There was a little sign saying that the lion lied on Mondays, Wednesdays, and Saturdays, and that the unicorn lied on Tuesdays, Thursdays, and Sundays. Harry asked to get inside, and the lion said he needed to answer one of the riddles. He told Harry that he lied yesterday, and the unicorn said he also lied yesterday. Can you help Harry figure out which day of the week was yesterday? Well, let's see how this works. From what the magical creatures said, they were both lying on the same day. So the only possible answer to this riddle is Saturday. If we consider yesterday was Saturday, that means the lion was telling the truth and the unicorn was lying. Finally, Harry completed all of his tasks and was allowed to go back home. Which of the 3 doors should Harry choose to get back home? Well, let's see. He should choose the door in the middle. It has a house emoji on it, which will probably take Harry directly back to the comfort of his home.